Welcome back to the college lineup. I'm Eli.
And I'm Carson. And Eli, it's great to be back with you. Episode number 13 of the college lineup, fresh off a college football national championship here. So, Eli, let's dive into it.
Let's do it.
All right, so just a quick high-level recap here. Last night, we had the number 10 seed Miami Hurricanes playing the number 1 seed undefeated Indiana Hoosiers. This is the game breakdown. So final score was 27 Indiana, 21 Miami. Indiana finishes 16-0 on the season and is national champions. Eli, what did you think about this game and overall Indiana's season as a whole?
Yeah. I was glad that it was actually a game. I was a little worried there for a little bit that even before it started, I kind of thought that it might get out of hand early. Never really did. I think it was 10-0 at halftime or in the first quarter or something like that. I didn't really keep up with it until the second half because I was busy with something. I don't even remember what it was anymore. But nonetheless, I thought it was a very well played game by Mendoza. I thought Miami did a good job at stifling this really good Indiana offense there in the first half. Obviously, they did end up losing by 6, but at the same time, this whole playoffs, they definitely played them the closest, and it actually looked like they were out there to compete, unlike these other teams that have played Indiana so far. So I thought it was a good game overall. We did get our picks right in saying Indiana. They did only end up winning by 6, so I said something like 10 or 11. I think they were going to win by, and I don't remember exactly what you predicted, 45-17
I predicted a big win.
or something
I
like
thought
that.
it was going to be, 45-17.
Yeah, so
yeah.
So at least we still got the fact that they won. We got that right. But what I wanted to point out too, and what I thought was really kind of funny or kind of ironic, is the fact that I talked about how there's been too many times Carson Beck's had the last drive chance to win, especially this season. It was like either the second or third time, and they lost because he threw an interception. Game-winning drive, game on the line, marching down the field, throws an interception. And what's funny about that is that happened on Monday, which was last night for us. So I thought that was really funny because, and I actually saw someone else talking about this after the game. I think that he lost 6 games in his time just throughout his career in college. And 4 of those games that he lost were interceptions on the last drive. So I think that statistic was right. It was something close to that, or the last 2 years he's played, something along those lines. He had 6 games that he lost. 4 of those he had a chance to drive down the field, but he throws an interception and turns it over. So just par for the course, a good way for Carson Beck to end his tenure by throwing an interception, par for the course. But I'm sure he's upset about it, but overall, really well played game by both teams. And, like I said, Miami still had the opportunity to pull away and win that game, or not pull away, but they had a chance to at least win the game with 2 minutes left or whatever it was. So, Carson, what are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, first off, like you said, I'm very happy this was a close game. This is kind of the game that I wanted to see Indiana play, and I wanted to see Indiana have to play. I wanted to see how they responded kind of under some pressure when some things don't work out. And that's what I got to see in this game. I did think at halftime when it was 10-0, my initial thoughts were I'm expecting Indiana to come out of halftime with a great game plan to execute and to really blow this game out of the water. That's not what happened, though. Miami came out second half. A little bit slow start first half. I don't even think a little bit slow start sums it up. Really slow start. Offensive was just poor. I mean, I think there was only 2 or 3 first downs in the whole first half for Miami and Carson Beck's offense. So really struggling against this tough, gritty Indiana defense. Second half, very impressed with Miami. I think that's one of the best halves of football they've played all year, even though they've lost, just regarding how good Indiana is. I did think for a minute there, I thought Carson Beck, I thought it was written in the stars. Yeah. I thought he was going to have his moment, his game-winning drive. He was going to go down. He was going to score a touchdown, and then Miami was going to win the national championship. Especially in Miami, storybook. I just thought it was going to happen for a minute. And as soon as I saw that ball underthrown and saw it picked off, I was just like, wow, That's just fitting for a Carson Beck loss in the national championship.
If he throws it 4 yards further, it looked like he was open.
Oh, yeah,
it
he
looked
was
like
breaking
he had a step on that guy.
Yep.
Because I think he actually came from the flats because nobody was guarding. Apparently, it was really a really good play by the guy that ended up intercepting it because I think he was supposed to have the flat area, but no one was there, so he decided to chase down the other guy, and Carson Beck obviously probably assumed that he was going to stay in the flats, as most quarterbacks probably would assume. So it was a really good play there. But at the same time, if Carson Beck doesn't overthrow that ball, I think he at least hits the receiver or overthrows him one. But definitely don't think an interception comes out of it as long as you don't underthrow the ball.
Yep, absolutely. And it really makes plays. In my head, what sticks out is that missed field goal by Miami in the first half.
Yep.
Big factor there. I think the biggest factor of the game was that block punt
Yep.
for a touchdown. I mean, that's
Yep.
huge. You take those two pieces out of the game, and Miami makes a routine punt, and they make a fairly routine field goal. It wasn't that far, if my memory serves me right. I mean, this is a completely different game. We might even be looking at Miami as the national champions this year. So regardless, it was a great game. I'm just going to hit over high level a little bit of the stats in case you missed the game. Carson Beck threw for 232 yards, 19 for 32 passing, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception there at the end of the game like we were just hitting on. Fernando Mendoza threw for 186 yards, 16 for 27 passing. Both teams really relied on the passing game. Miami did have that one breakthrough rushing touchdown. Their rushing yards looks to be about 150 on the night, with Fletcher having 112 of those rushing yards. So overall, I think this is really a game that I wanted to see Indiana play to win the national title. I was going to be really disappointed if they got to cakewalk through the playoff.
Right.
Because in my head, I didn't think they were that much better than these other teams.
We know.
But they just played
We
that
know.
much better than these other teams. They just outperformed every single week. I mean, we know from a talent perspective they weren't. Let me rephrase. We know from a talent perspective and recruiting coming out of high school that on paper their talent was not leaps and bounds better than other teams.
Right.
But I think this is really a testament to Cignetti's coaching and the program he's building and just the overall attitude and demeanor of the Indiana football team.
Yep.
I think it really speaks volumes to it. I'm happy with it overall. I think it was a great season. I think there was a lot that shaped the college football landscape this season, and I think a lot's going to take place here in the next probably 4 to 5 months. It's going to change how the college football playoff and NCAA football looks as a whole for next season. So I think there's a lot to look forward to and a lot we can break down in the future.
Yeah, and I think going off kind of like the talent perspective, I do agree with you because I do want to point out too, like if you're going off of an NIL base, like who did a complete overhaul, Indiana did, yes, to certain extents. But if you were going based just off of that, you'd pick Texas Tech to win the whole thing, make the playoffs. But obviously they didn't do that because Texas Tech spent the most NIL money out of anybody in the nation, and they have one of the highest NIL money in the bank that they can spend. So it does show too that it does take good coaching. Cignetti's been a good coach, and before he came in last year, Indiana was not a team to look at. It's just who Indiana, they play football. What it's kind of one of those things. But last year they went, I think, 11-1, and this year they've finished out the undefeated season. So just very interesting to see that while NIL is such a big deal, and yes, they probably had plenty of NIL money, still not spending the most on NIL is not always the most important thing either, at least in this season. And like you said, the next 3 or 4 months, we're really going to get to see how it shapes out and how the playoffs is going to look for next year, because I know they postponed that to the end of January to decide on that. So welcome back to the Weekly Hunt.
Episode number 13, Weekly Hunt segment coming at you. If you are new here to the college lineup or do not know what the Weekly Hunt segment is, me and Eli are alumni from the University of North Alabama, so we like to do this segment to kind of hit on our alma mater's athletic program. And right now we are in the middle of conference play, ASUN basketball. So we thought we'd touch on the men and women's basketball teams and kind of check in with them and see how they're doing. So we'll go ahead and start with the men's team. This past week, they played North Florida and Jacksonville. Ended up going 0 for 2 on these games, losing to North Florida 105-91. and losing this past Saturday to Jacksonville 90-68. Both games played here in Florence, Alabama at home. Eli, what are your thoughts on these two games this past week?
I don't even know anymore, honestly. I just it stings, and like we talked about last week, it's just like we, in the coaches poll, we were picked to finish second in the conference, and in the fans poll or whatever it was called, we were picked first or voted on to be first in the conference, and we have not lived up to that hype by any means. And again, we're just missing Jakari Lane just that much. You don't realize how much of a factor he was until we didn't have him anymore. But I really just don't know how we're gonna win another game. I was looking. Okay, we still got two teams below us in our conference, but it's Bellarmine and North Florida, or Bellarmine, however you pronounce that, and we're all 1-5. But we lost to North Florida already, and I don't think we played Bellarmine again this season. Yeah, we do. We play in the second to the last game of the season, it looks like. So that'll be interesting to see. But other than that, I just don't know who else we're going to be able to beat. Because I mean, we got smacked by North Florida, and they're under us. They're 3-16 to be exact. They're 1-5 in conference, beating us, and we're 1-5. And we beat Bellarmine, so obviously they're below us for that reasoning. But two losses there stinks to Jacksonville and North Florida. Jacksonville is 2-4. They're 7-12, so they are they're one up ahead of us. So still not a good loss, but you can't lose to North Florida in this situation, especially when you've started off so slow. So that's really going to sting, and I hope UNA turns around and goes undefeated the rest of the season. I just don't really think that's going to happen. So not too high on that. Our players, they look pretty solid. I mean, I think we have solid players. It's just like the chemistry is just not there, in my opinion. So I hope that can change. I believe in Coach Tony Pujol. I think he can. He's turned this program around one time. I think he, as long as he sticks with it, which he should now. Last year was his time to leave, I guess, if he was going to. Interesting to see how the rest of the season goes out. But other than that, we play Queens and Central Arkansas next. So I'll go ahead and give my predictions for those two games. And I'll let Carson talk about how he thinks the season's gone and let him give his predictions as well. So for Queens, that's actually tomorrow at 6:00. We're not going to win. Queens is 6-0 in the conference. I just don't think it's going to be possible. When you get beat by North Florida at home, I think it's going to be really hard to beat a Queens team at Queens. So I think we're going to go with a loss for that. And for Central Arkansas, I think anything can happen. Central Arkansas is 4-2 in the conference. They are 9-10 overall. I think there is more of a possibility there, but I'm going to go with we go 0-2 in that stretch as well. So Carson, how do you think the season's gone so far? And what are your two predictions for Queens and Central Arkansas?
Yeah, I think overall for this men's UNA basketball team, if you were to draw up kind of a worst case scenario through this point in conference play, you're probably there.
Yeah.
Last year we had such a good record at home. Mm-hmm. I don't think we lost a conference game at all last year at home. And then we had one of the longest at some point up until this past, I believe, end of October. We actually had one of the longest home winning streaks in NCAA basketball. And so this past week to drop two games at home, won by 22 points to two teams that are both also at the bottom of the ASUN. It just really kind of sounds some red flags in my book. Those are two games that we sat here a week ago and we said that these are going to be two easy wins for UNA to have under their belt and to bounce back into conference play.
They weren't.
They were not, no. So seeing how those games went, it kind of just raises a lot of red flags for me. I don't really know kind of what the issue is, other than I think just defensively, we just don't have a groove right now. I mean, North Florida came into UNA 2-15, have not won a conference game yet, and they put up 105 points on us.
Yep.
So I really don't think we have an answer defensively right now.
We scored 91, so it really doesn't look like it's our offense necessarily.
No, not at all. And the offense did stall a little bit later Saturday against Jacksonville. only scoring 68 points. I was actually at this game. I got there for the second half, and we hung with them the whole second half, but by the end of the first half, the damage was already done.
Yeah.
So not much you can do there.
Yeah, I got a text from Carson halfway through that game. He's like, I just sat through this game. He said, I don't know, man. He was like, this is not the UNA team from last year by any means. No. So I was like, yeah. I said I didn't really keep up. Well, I kept up with it, but I didn't really watch the game because basketball can be one of those things where it's fun to watch when you're good, but it can be a little agonizing when you're not. So.
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously the team's feeling the weight of Jakari Lane, but they're also feeling the weight of Daniel Ortiz and just having a solid guard shooter. Yep. And you're also, in my opinion, you're really missing Tay Fields.
Yeah.
He was just a playmaker. He was a great rebounder. He was a distributor. He would have high-scoring games, and he would have other games where he wouldn't score many points, but the whole offense kind of flowed because he was so energetic and he was just so 110% with everything that he did. Yep. So I think you're really feeling the weight of three of those players. I do like what I see out of Cornelius Williams down there. In the paint, he is a great rebounder. He is actually our leading points per game scorer right now with 13.7. We also have Kevin Kovacic, who's having some great games as of late. I think he had 15 or 17 points this past Saturday. So you're seeing some players step up, start getting in a groove. It's just not all clicking, and that's evident. Going to this week's games, like you said, Queens tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Central Time. Queens is 6-0 in conference play. And we knew they were going to be good coming into the season. It was always, at the beginning of this season predictions, it was always Queens and UNA back and forth, 1 and 2 in these polls. And Queens has lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
I don't think we can get it done tomorrow just because UNA historically has never been a good road team. Even last year when we were a much better team than we are now, we struggled on the road. All of our good wins came at home. Yeah. But I will say, the point of positivity I will get here is last year and in years past, all these ASUN teams wanted to finish really high in the regular season because based on how the seeding fell at the end of conference play, they might have a chance to host a postseason ASUN tournament game.
Yeah.
Well, this year, if you're unaware, all the tournament games will actually be in Jacksonville, Florida. So that incentive for having a really good regular season has kind of gone out the window. And in a year like this where UNA is struggling so far, I think that is an advantage to us. Now, this is something that I'm not a big fan of because I loved having the ASUN postseason games.
I agree.
At the home sites of the higher seeded teams. So I hate that that's gone. But in a year like this, when we definitely were not going to host anyway, if the season continues like it is now, I'm fine with it because it kind of puts all the teams back on level ground, except for some of these Florida teams like Jacksonville, North Florida, Florida Gulf Coast, who are going to have obviously a higher fan base there than other teams like Lipscomb, Central Arkansas, and North Florida, or North Alabama, for example. So I think that'll work in our favor this year. I'm trying to look at the positives of it. For Saturday's game against Central Arkansas, we're back at home, and I think we do get this win. Central Arkansas is 4th in the conference right now, so kind of higher, middle-of-the-pack team. And I think this is where you will finally see UNA play like their backs are against the wall because I feel like after those 2 losses last week, it's when it's finally kind of resonating with the team. Like, we are basically almost a month into conference play now, and we're still struggling with things. Yeah. And if we want to have a seriously good end of the season, we've got to start making adjustments now. So I think they get that done. At home is the big advantage there. If it was an away game, I don't think we could get it done. Yeah. But since it's back home, I say we get the win there and hopefully try to right the ship a little bit. Yeah. I've got
hope so.
I've got a little bit of faith left. But if we go have another 0-2 week, the faith is going to slowly start slipping out of my fingers. So, Eli, do you have anything left on this men's team?
I do not. That's all I could muster out of my thoughts.
That's all she wrote.
That's all she wrote for the men's team.
So, with that, we'll go ahead and rotate over to the women's team, who had a rougher beginning to the year, but has lately kind of pulled into some positive news. They are coming on a 3-game win streak right now. They also play Queens this week on Thursday, and then this upcoming Saturday, they will also play Central Arkansas. They play Queens at home Thursday in Florence, then they're at Central Arkansas Saturday, kind of the inverse of the men's team schedule. Overall, they're sitting at 8-9, and they are sitting at tied for 4th in the ASUN Conference with a 3-3 conference record. Eli, what do you think about this women's team so far this season?
Yeah, they bounced back like we were hoping the men's team was going to bounce back. Obviously, they swapped. They played North Florida and Jacksonville last week too, but they were both away. Whereas UNA had those home games, so you would expect, the men's team is going to come back, bounce back, and oh no, the women's team may be in kind of a hole coming to this week. But actually, it's the other way around. The women went in to North Florida, beat them, went to Jacksonville, beat them as well, beat North Florida by 2, and beat Jacksonville by 4. So close wins there, but those are games you expect them to win because they are at the bottom of the standings. North Florida is, at least. Jacksonville is actually 3-3 as well, so they're tied for 4th as well. But those are 2 good wins. They have now won 3 in a row, going back to their win against Bellarmine at UNA. So they're just got to go game by game. So they're 0-0 going to play Queens at UNA. So this one is at home. So, and Queens on the women's side is not as good. They're 1-5 in conference play. So I think UNA's women's team will go in to the bank, to North Alabama, to their home stadium, and get a win versus Queens. And then they go away to Central Arkansas, and I could see them taking away this win too. I'm predicting this women's team to go 2-0 the next 2 games, and build a 5-game win streak. So they, from what I've seen, from the highlights I've seen, from what I've been keeping up, they've been a fun team to watch. They've scored quite a few points. I mean, against Jacksonville, they scored 83 points. So that's pretty solid. The game before that, they only scored 56, but they're right up there with the men's team. They might could give the men's team a run for their money. Joking, not going to happen in all reality. But anyway, I think they've played well. They've had this little turnaround midway through the season, like we wanted the men's team to have. So I think as long as they keep chugging along, even if they do drop one against Central Arkansas at Central Arkansas, as long as they beat Queens here, they'll still be sitting pretty, and hopefully be 3rd or stay at 4th in the conference. So as long as they slowly make their way up, I think that they can still have a good season.
Yeah, absolutely. December was a hard month for this women's team. They were actually on a 6-game losing streak, entering into the past 3-game win streak they had now, and part of that was because of their tough competition they played in December. They went at Missouri. They also had a few close games with some local Alabama teams, South Alabama and Alabama A&M, and that kind of bad chemistry kind of leaked over into conference play. We saw them jump off to an 0-3 start in conference play. But like you said, kind of what we were expecting out of the men's team, we're really seeing out of the women's team. Great wins last week with North Florida and Jacksonville. I do want to highlight something cool. UNA basketball player Ali Alvarado had 37 points in her game against Jacksonville this past Saturday. That is a single game program record for UNA. So I just wanted to highlight that. I think that's pretty awesome. I saw that come through on my feed a couple days ago. Yeah. So that is awesome. That is what UNA is going to need if they're going to make a run deeper into this ASUN conference play and eventually the ASUN tournament if they want to have a shot in making the NCAA tournament. If you're unaware, the winner of the ASUN conference tournament for men's and women's both get an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. So there's definitely incentive there, something to play for. And so what we're really hoping out of these UNA teams is that incentivizes them enough to really kind of get their act together, make a push into this conference play, make a push into the ASUN tournament. So I think this week they play Queens, as I mentioned earlier. Queens is, ironically enough, one of the poorer performing women's teams this year, 1-5 in conference play right now. So I think they get the win against Queens. This is also a home game Thursday night, so I like UNA in that one. And then Saturday, Central Arkansas. Central Arkansas is, like I said earlier, tied for us, 3-3 in conference play. I think this one will be a battle. This will be a great game. This one is at Central Arkansas as well. I'm going to go, we stay hot right here, and we go 5-0 in conference play. I like it. I like our odds. I think they're playing really well together. I think if we have playmakers step up like Allie did this past Saturday at Jacksonville, I think they will really have a lot of good things coming their way.
Welcome back to our last segment. This is our rapid fire segment. And if you're new here or haven't listened to the new episode yet, or the last episode, we started this now that basketball season's getting ramping up and getting started again. So what we have is we do about 5 or so rapid game predictions. So Carson will throw out 2 teams that are playing each other throughout this week. And then we both give our predictions without looking at much, just going off of how we feel. And going from there. So we thought this is just something fun to do, especially just to close out these episodes. So Carson, whenever you're ready or whenever it gets pulled up, just let us know who our first 2 teams are.
Are you ready? I'm ready if you are.
I'm ready.
All right. First game we have this Saturday, 5:30 Central Time. We have number 6 Houston versus number 12 Texas Tech. Eli, what are you thinking?
Ooh. This is rapid fire. I'm going Texas Tech.
Upset?
Upset. I'm going Texas Tech.
All right. Well, I'll go Houston in that game. I think it's going to be a great game, but give me Houston. Another great game also on Saturday. We have number 11 Illinois versus number 4 Purdue. Purdue is 17-1.
I'm going to give that one to Purdue. Purdue's looked really well, obviously going 17-1. So I think they get the win over a top 15 ranked Illinois team.
I do too. I'm going to go Purdue on that game. I think they're playing great. Tough team to beat. Give me Purdue on that one. Saturday, we got a little third Saturday in October, basketball edition. We have Tennessee versus number 17 Alabama.
I think Alabama wins this one. I think they win it pretty easily. Tennessee has not looked super hot. They were ranked 25. They may have fallen out of the rankings now after losing to Kentucky. Because Kentucky has not been playing super well, and if you let them come back and beat you when they were down 17 points, not a good look for you. I think it was at Tennessee as well. So I'm going to go Alabama here. I think they're going to pretty easily walk in to, I don't know if it's at home or away, but wherever it's at, and I think they'll take care of business. Yeah, I think no, it doesn't. I think they'll take care of business.
Yep, I do too. Not even going to give this a second thought. Give me Alabama by a million. Washington at Nebraska. This game is tomorrow night, Wednesday, January 21st. Washington unranked 10-8. Nebraska 18-0, ranked number 7 in the nation. Who you got?
Give me Washington.
Ooh.
I think Nebraska. You got to slip up with one game, and I think this is the game to do it early on, so it's not as taxing throughout the rest of the season. So I'm actually going to go with Washington here.
I'm going to go Nebraska. I think they'll drop a game soon. I just don't see it happening against Washington. Yeah. So
Fair.
I think it'll be a great game, though. Lastly, here we have USC, a little Southern California action, playing Wisconsin. Wisconsin's 13-5. USC is 14-4. This game is currently, I'll give you a little hint here, and for us making this pick, this game is 72% favored for Washington. Do you think Southern California gets it done? Or Wisconsin, sorry, misspoke.
No, you're good. Is it at Wisconsin?
It is.
Okay. I think Wisconsin's gonna pull it out. I think both teams are. It's gonna be a hard fought game. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout either way. So I think it's gonna come down to the wire. But I think Wisconsin will pull this one out.
I do too. I like Wisconsin. So should be a good week of basketball. We'll have the graphic up on Instagram here shortly. So if you listen to this and want to just remind yourself of who we picked, that'll be up on Instagram. Eli, as always, it was a pleasure. This has been episode number 13 of The College Lineup.